Okay, it's not the morning briefing, but a bit of breaking news about Celtic. Callum McGregor's the new club captain, replacing Scott Brown, who's off to Aberdeen after spending such a long time at Celtic. Alison McConnell with me, Andy Barrs, just to have a quick chat about it. Was he the only candidate in the squad, Alison? Was it only ever going to be Callum McGregor who'd be wearing the armband?
I think he was the obvious choice. I think he was the one that everyone would have anticipated. I think the only other candidate might have been Christopher Julian. I think had Christopher Julian had envisaged his long-term future at the club, I think he also might have been a candidate. But I think he was a very obvious choice. I think he has the experience to go and take it. I think he's a very different character, a very different personality to Scott Brown, but I think he's become integral to the Celtic dressing room. He knows the way that the team want to play. He knows the demands of the club. And I think it'll be a different thing. He's got pretty big shoes to walk into. But yeah, I think it's the announcement we anticipated.
Well, Julian has only been there for a fairly short amount of time, relatively speaking anyway, and Christopher Ayer, it's been clear for some time he would be on his way out. So McGregor, having made his debut back in 2014, I think it was, is it important that someone like him was given the captain's armband that's been around the club for a while because there's a new manager there? This isn't just like Scott Brown has left and the manager can just continue on and pick someone else. The captain has left and the manager has been replaced. So it's important to have continuity, would you agree?
Yeah, I think I've asked a number of issues in terms of continuity. You know, there's a huge overhaul going on at the club in terms of personnel between the captain going, the manager going, a potential director of football, a new manager, there's a new chief executive come in. I think there were all sorts of new positions to be filled, and all these people need to gel together. But I think what Callum McGregor does have is the respect of the dressing room and the respect of his teammates. And I think he'll be good at introducing new players into that environment and just familiar with what the demands are. I think he's grown up through Celtic. He came through the club's academy. He knows how difficult it is to make that journey and actually go in and cement a first team place. So I think, I think he'll have a lot to offer in terms of the captaincy. And I think it's a sensible choice, I'd have to say.
Yeah, it does feel like there were no other candidates really. There's nobody else that's, I think, of a similar stature, of a similar experience in the Celtic team, especially a homegrown player that can kind of take on the armband and knows what it means. And I suppose the fact that Callum McGregor has captained Celtic already many times, it is the sensible choice. That I suppose he might have been mentored or moulded into the role, I suppose, a bit by Scott Brown, who will have known for some months before he announced it that probably it was his last season at Celtic. So McGregor might even have known that himself and been preparing for this.
I think he would have been prepared for it. I think he might not have ever said it publicly or wished to appear presumptuous about it. But I think himself, he was the prime candidate for it. I'm sure in his head he was maybe looking towards it, and I think he's a good role model. I think he's worked very hard. He's had to work hard to get to where he is just now and to get the kind of status that he's got at Celtic. But I think crucially, he understands what's expected. He's played for so long in a winning Celtic team. To come in now and know that the club need to get back and they need to try and win the title back and they need to try and arrest the decline that we saw last term. I think he knows the standards. He was one of the players that I thought really responded well when Brendan Rodgers came in. He really upped his game, improved his game, and I think now it's just about trying to influence those round about him. And I would say he is a very different personality to Scott Brown, and I think he would like to judge people on their own merits. I think he's a different kind of leader, and I don't think you should be looking to him to implement the same kind of styles and characteristics of Scott Brown, but simply to let him be his own man.
Sorry, what do you think are his characteristics and qualities that make him the sensible choice? Not just the fact that he's been there for a long time and knows what's expected of the players and the captain at Celtic, but as a personality type.
I think he's a very quiet leader. I think he leads by example rather than by verbal instruction. I think he knows what it takes. I think, when he first broke into the first team, he had to go away down south. He had to go out on loan and then come back and really fight to prove himself and prove that he was capable of getting into the team. I also think there is a tendency for when homegrown players come into the first team, I think they can be judged quite harshly. At first, I think he'll know what that's like to come in and feel all eyes on you. And I think you probably feel a different kind of pressure when you come through the club's academy, when you've lived in the city, you've grown up in the city, and you know the expectations and you know just how demanding the support can be. I think there's an entirely different pressure around that. I think it'll be good for him to have that.
Yeah, well, it's
the new post club's academy. We saw like Kieran Tierney done that too.
Yeah, sorry, you froze up a bit there, Alison. I didn't realise you were still in full flow. So there wasn't really much uncertainty about it. I think we all expected Callum McGregor to be announced, but Ange Postecoglou's come in, had a look, and clearly thought, "Yep, he'll do for me. He is the new Celtic captain, and it is Callum McGregor." So we'll see how he adapts to the role full time in the coming season. He has taken it from Scott Brown on occasion over the past season or two. And been a good vice captain for Celtic, I would say. But now the responsibility is solely on his shoulders. And I wonder who the vice captain will be.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. I wonder if it might just be Christopher Jullien when he's fully fit. We've seen various leadership qualities from him too. I think he could be the next one, but it's the manager's call, I suppose. If he's bringing in players himself, he might fancy one of those. But my money would probably be in Jullien.
Absolutely. Okay, well, that's that. Just a quick reaction to Callum McGregor being announced as the new Celtic captain. We'll be back tomorrow morning for a morning briefing ahead of the Michelin game.